morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. Public Relations Society of India, Jammu and Kashmir, welcome the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, Honorable Minister of State Independent Charge of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, Minister of State Independent Charge of Science and Technology, Minister of State in Prime Minister's Office, Minister of State in Ministry of Personal Public Grievances, and all the dignitaries to the launch of Jammu and Kashmir chapter of Public Relations Society of India. Before we start with the program, I regret to inform you all, recently we lost Professor Pushpendra Pal Singh, a prominent and beloved member of Public Relations Society of India and former head of the Department of Journalism at Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism. He passed away due to a cardiac failure on Monday night. He was just 53. I request you all to please stand and observe 30 seconds silence. धन्यवाद. Now proceeding further, ladies and gentlemen, जैसे कि हमारे देश की परंपरा है कि किसी भी शुभ कार्य की शुरुआत हमेशा ईश्वर के नाम से होती है. So ladies and gentlemen, before we start anything auspicious, we light the traditional lamp. I request the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh Ji, and dignitaries on the dais to kindly light the traditional lamp. तोड़ना है हर पिंजरा, मेरी उड़ान अभी बाकी है. मंजिलें जमीन भर नहीं, आसमान अभी बाकी है. लहरों का थमना नहीं समंदर की बेबसी, लहरों का थमना नहीं समंदर की बेबसी. बाहर खामोशी सही, भीतर कई तूफान अभी बाकी है. चलना है हमें अंधकार से प्रकाश की ओर, चलना है हमें ज्ञान से अज्ञान से ज्ञान की ओर. पृथ्वी से आकाश की ओर, पदार्थ से सूक्ष्म की ओर, प्राणी से परमात्मा की ओर. दीप प्रज्वलन के साथ ही कार्यक्रम का शुभ आरंभ. आओ माँ सरस्वती की वंदना से हम इस कार्यक्रम का शुभारंभ करें. मैं मंच पर आमंत्रित करने जा रही हूँ पलक, आयुषी और भारती को.
हे शारदे मां, अज्ञान
धन्यवाद। हृदय वही है भाव वो जहाँ राष्ट्र बंधन है। तो प्रस्तुत है राष्ट्रीय वंदना। प्रस्तुत करने जा रहे हैं अभिनव, कृष्ण, गोपाल, आदित्य सिंह और अदिति।
जन गण मन यह कल कल छल छल बहती,
क्या कहती गंगा धारा,
युग युग से बहता आता,
यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा,
यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा। यह कल कल छल छल बहती, क्या कहती गंगा धारा, युग युग से बहता आता, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा।
कल कल छल
छल बहती, क्या कहती गंगा धारा, युग युग से बहता आता, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा। हम इसके लघुतम जलकण,
बनते मिटते हैं
क्षण क्षण,
अपना अस्तित्व मिटाकर,
तन मन धन करते अर्पण, बढ़ते जाने का शुभ प्रण, प्राणों से हमको प्यारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा।
यह कल कल छल
छल बहती, क्या कहती गंगा धारा, युग युग से बहता आता,
यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा।
इस धारा में मिलजुल कर वीरों की आँख बही है, इस धारा में कितने ही ऋषियों ने शरण गई है, इस धारा की गोदी में खेला इतिहास हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा।
यह कल कल छल छल बहती, क्या कहती गंगा धारा, युग युग से बहता आता, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा। यह अविरल तप का फल है, यह राष्ट्र प्रवाह प्रबल है,
शुभ संस्कृति का परिचायक भारत माँ का चल है,
यह शाश्वत है चिर जीवन, मर्यादा धर्म हमारा,
यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा।
यह कल कल छल छल बहती, क्या कहती गंगा धारा,
युग युग से बहता आता,
यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा। कंकड़ पत्थर की हस्ती क्या बाधा बन कर आए। ढल जाएंगे गिरि पर्वत कांपे भूमंडल सारा। यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा। यह कल कल छल छल बहती गंगा धारा युग युग से बहता आता। यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा, यह पुण्य प्रवाह हमारा।
धन्यवाद। हमारे बीच आए हुए हमारे मुख्य अतिथि एवं गणमान्य अतिथियों का पुनः अभिनंदन। अतिथि देवो भव हमारी परंपरा रही है। अतिथि सत्कार, एक दूसरे का आदर सम्मान करना, ये एक मानवीय मूल्य है जो हम लोग निभाते आए हैं। ये हमारी समृद्ध भारतीय परंपरा को दर्शाता है। Continuing with our rich cultural heritage, now I request Dr. Ajit Pathak ji, National President, PRSI, to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, by presenting him Tulsi Pot. Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor Annals Ji, Chairperson PRSI JNK Chapter, to present Tulsi Pot to Dr. Ajit Pathak ji, National President PRSI. Thank you. Now I request Colonel Devendra Anand ji, Executive Member PRSI JNK Chapter, to present Tulsi Pot to Professor Rajnikant ji, Director College Development Council and President JNK Vigyan Bharati.
सर इधर से, सर दूसरी साइड से, वहाँ से, सर उस साइड आ जाइए। यार कभी उल्टा करो।
Thank you. Now I request Dr. Archana Kumari ji, Secretary PRSI JNK Chapter, to present Tulsi Pot to Shri Arun Joshi ji, Editor-in-Chief JNK News Today.
सामने सर सामने।
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Dr. Monisa Kadri ji, Joint Secretary PRSI JNK Chapter, to present Tulsi Pot to Shri Dinesh Malhotra ji, Secretary Journal Press Club. Monisa Kadri ji.
साइड पे आ जाओ। सर सामने सामने।
Thank you very much. Now I request Shri Ramesh Raina ji, Executive Member PRSI JNK Chapter, to present Tulsi Pot to Shri Sanjeev Khajuria ji, Veteran Journalist and ex-Deputy Director Doordarshan Jammu. Thank you. Now I request Dr. Ravya Gupta to present Tulsi Pot to Professor Anil Somitra ji. हमारा देश मुख्तलिफ रंगों का गहवारा है। हर फूल की अपनी अपनी खुशबू है, अपनी अपनी छटा है, और यही दर्शाता है हमारी अनेकता में एकता। Some of our distinguished guests from various parts of India wish to welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, by presenting them the souvenirs of their respective states. First, we would like to invite Narendra Mehta ji, North President from Varanasi. I request him to kindly come up on the stage and present the souvenir. I request Anu Majumdar ji to be ready for the next. I request Anu Majumdar ji from Guwahati, Anil Sati ji from Dehradun, Shri Ramvi Shankar ji, Devi Singh ji and Jaydev Singh ji to please join here. Now I request Anu Majumdar ji from Guwahati to kindly present the souvenir.
सर सामने सर सामने
The souvenir is from Guwahati. Thank you. Now I request Shri Anil Sati ji, Secretary PRSI Dehradun. Now I request Shri Ravi Shankar ji, Chairperson Jaipur Chapter, to present souvenir to our respected chief guest. I request Devi Singh ji also and Jaydev Singh ji also to present the souvenirs. Jaydev Sharma to present the souvenirs.
सर थोड़ा इस तरफ आ रहे सर सामने
Thank you so much. Now I request Shri Sanjeev Khajuria ji to present the souvenir to our honorable chief guest.
सेंटर में ठीक है सेंटर में थोड़ा यस यस सर सामने
Thank you, sir. Now I request Kailash Rangaji, Senior Executive Member PRSI, to present souvenir to Dr. Ajit Pathak ji.
सर सामने
Thank you, sir. Proceeding further, I request Shri Sanjeev Khajuria ji, veteran journalist and ex-deputy director, Doordarshan, to formally welcome our guests.
धन्यवाद मिताली जी। आए हुए सभी अतिथियों का मैं स्वागत करता हूं इस मंदिरों के शहर जम्मू में। विशेष तौर पे मैं अपना आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूँगा माननीय मंत्री जी डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी। इनकी व्यस्तताएं बहुत थी और दूसरा संसद का अधिवेशन चल रहा है, तो हमने कहा कि नहीं, इस कार्यक्रम का अगर शुरुआत जम्मू चैप्टर करना है तो वो आपके हाथों से होना चाहिए। इसलिए मैं इनका बहुत आभारी भी हूँ कि इन्होंने अपना समय दिया, और एक खास वजह थी कि हम इन्हीं से क्यों करवाना चाहते थे। हमारे पास ऑप्शन बहुत थे, लेकिन जो मेरे PRSI के साथी देश के अलग अलग हिस्सों से आए हैं, वो डॉक्टर साहब को केवल एक मंत्री की हैसियत से ही जानते होंगे। वो एक बहुत अच्छे डॉक्टर भी हैं डायबिटीज के, और उसके साथ साथ एक पत्रकार हैं। और आज से 40-42 वर्ष पहले की बात है, डॉक्टर साहब एक रेगुलर कॉलम लिखा करते थे, टेल्स ऑफ ट्रेवेस्टी, और बहुत से लोग अखबार इसलिए खरीदते थे उस दिन के इनका कॉलम पढ़ना है। और इसलिए हमारी ये कोशिश थी ऐसे व्यक्ति से जो पत्रकारिता से जुड़ा हुआ हो, उस व्यक्ति के हाथों से अगर हमारे इस जम्मू कश्मीर PRSI के अध्याय शुरू होगा तो ज़्यादा सार्थक होगा। ये वजह थी उनको इसके कार्यक्रम में बुलाने के लिए। मैं स्वागत करता हूँ हमारे प्रोफेसर रजनीकांत जी, जिन्होंने शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में बहुत योगदान दिया है हमारे राज्य में। विज्ञान भारती का भी सारा काम यहाँ पे देख रहे हैं। मैं उनका हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूँ। मैं स्वागत करना चाहूँगा अपने राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष डॉक्टर अजीत पाठक जी, जो हमारे PRSI के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं। इन्होंने पब्लिक रिलेशंस को नए आयाम दिए हैं। हालांकि पहले पब्लिक रिलेशन कोई अच्छी चीज नहीं समझी जाती थी, वो कहते हैं बस ऐसे ही है, प्रेस रिलीज उठा के ले आते हैं PR के लोग, लेकिन एक नई दिशा दी कि पब्लिक रिलेशन केवल कोई खबर लगवाने वाला काम नहीं है, और उसके लिए जो हमारे कार्यक्रम है, चाहे सरकार के कार्यक्रम है या किसी संस्थान की कोई गतिविधियां हैं, उनकी खबर जो है वो लोगों तक पहुंचना चाहिए। तो मैं विशेष आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूँगा कि काफ़ी देर से ये काम चल रहा था कि हम किस प्रकार जम्मू में जो है इसकी शुरुआत करें। प्रोफेसर अनिल सोमित, इनका स्वागत करता हूँ। ये भोपाल से आए हैं, हमारे रीजनल डायरेक्टर भी हैं यहाँ इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मास कम्युनिकेशन में। जैसे आप सभी लोग जानते हैं कि जर्नलिज्म मास कम्युनिकेशन में आज एक अलग सा एक चैप्टर है जो बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट है पब्लिक रिलेशंस का। वो हमारे यहाँ जम्मू कश्मीर यूनियन टेरिटरी के अध्यक्ष रहेंगे, उनका भी मैं स्वागत करता हूँ। हमारे साथ दो वरिष्ठ पत्रकार बैठे हुए हैं, डॉक्टर अरुण जोशी जी। जम्मू कश्मीर में पत्रकारिता में इनका बहुत बड़ा योगदान है, और पिछले ये भी 40-45 वर्षों से ये अपनी सेवाएं दे रहे हैं। दिनेश मल्होत्रा जी हैं, जनरल सेक्रेटरी हैं प्रेस क्लब के, वरिष्ठ पत्रकार हैं। इनका सहयोग रहा है हमारे अलग अलग जो कार्यक्रम करवाते रहते हैं उसमें भी, मैं इनका भी स्वागत करना चाहूँगा। दो हमारे मेहमान ऐसे हैं जिनसे मैं क्षमा भी चाहूँगा, स्वागत तो करूँगा। एक हमारी सेल्स टैक्स कमिश्नर हैं डॉक्टर रश्मि सिंह जी, और दूसरी हमारी डिप्टी कमिश्नर हैं नम्रता डोगरा जी। क्षमा इसलिए कि इन्होंने भी कहा था हमें कि एक प्रोग्राम जो है, क्योंकि GST कलेक्शन में इनकी बड़ी योगदान रहा है, और उन्होंने एक बड़ा एक जागरूकता का कार्यक्रम जो है राज्य में शुरू किया है। हाल ही के दिनों में इन्होंने कर्तव्य शीर्षक से यहाँ पे प्रोग्राम किया था। एक्चुअली ये कोलैबोरेट करना चाहते थे हमारे साथ के PRSI के साथ, हम क्या कर सकते हैं। तो मैंने कहा कि अभी हमारे पास, चूंकि हमारा प्रोग्राम बड़ा टाइट था तो वो कर नहीं पाया, लेकिन मैं इनको विश्वास दिलाता हूँ कि जो जम्मू कश्मीर का हमारा चैप्टर रहेगा उसमें हम इस प्रकार के प्रोग्राम करेंगे, क्योंकि आज का हमने टॉपिक भी वैसे वही रखा हुआ है कि गवर्नमेंट कम्युनिकेशन एंड PR, तो उस लिहाज से हम पूरा सहयोग देंगे। इनका भी मैं विशेष स्वागत करता हूँ आज के इस कार्यक्रम में। राखी बख्शी जी हमारी दिल्ली से आई हुई हैं, बड़ी देर से पत्रकारिता से जुड़ी हैं, अब अलग अलग क्षेत्र हैं इनके। विजन इंडिया 2047 की उसका जो एक बड़ी कमेटी बननी है उसकी भी मेंबर हैं, मैं इनका भी स्वागत करता हूं। मनीषा कादरी जी हमारी जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी हैं, श्रीनगर से आई हैं, उनका भी स्वागत करता हूं। और देश के विभिन्न क्षेत्रों से आए हुए उत्तर, पश्चिम, पूर्व, दक्षिण हमारे PRSI के मेंबर्स, मैं उनका भी इस मंदिरों के शहर में स्वागत करता हूं। और उम्मीद भी करता हूँ कि वो जम्मू को पसंद करेंगे, जम्मू उनको अच्छा लगेगा। कैलाश लंगर जी हमारे बड़े सीनियर, हमारे पीआर के। इसके पीछे एक छोटी सी बात मैं आपको कहना चाहूँगा। आज से 15-20 वर्ष पहले पीआरएसआई की शुरुआत की गई थी यहाँ पे, लेकिन किसी कारणवश उन दिनों हमारे वरिष्ठ पत्रकार, डायरेक्टर जनरल इंफॉर्मेशन में, पब्लिक रिलेशन में, श्री सतपाल सानी जी, सती सानी जिनको कहते थे, उनके द्वारा ये अपने हमारे राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष शुरू हुआ था। लेकिन किसी प्रकार से वो बीज जो है ना, उसको शायद मुझे लगता है कि अच्छी तरह से वो मैन्योर नहीं मिली, पानी नहीं मिला, हवा नहीं मिली, वो बीज जो है वो पौधा बन नहीं पाया। लेकिन आज बीज जो डॉक्टर साहब लगा रहे हैं, मुझे उम्मीद है कि इसको पूरी सारी वो चीज़ें मिलेंगी और ये पौधा जो है वो करेगा। तो आए हुए कोई मेरा नाम किसी का रह गया विशेष तौर पे मैं क्षमा चाहूँगा। सबके पीआरएसआई जम्मू की तरफ से मैं दिल से स्वागत करता हूँ। आप लोग अपना समय निकाल के आए, क्योंकि आज के समय में ये जो इंटरनेट जब से है, ये व्हाट्सएप और ये चीज़ें छोड़ती नहीं है। बंदा कहता है कौन जाएगा यार, देख लेंगे, लाइव चल रहा है ना प्रोग्राम, अपना फ़ोन उठाएंगे देख लेंगे। आपने अपना इतना कीमती समय दिया, मैं आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। और चलते चलते मुझे अभी एक बात याद आ गई। डॉक्टर साहब आपके जो टेल्स ऑफ केमिस्ट्री लिखते थे, उसमें इन्होंने एक कैरेक्टर रखा हुआ था, जिन लोग पढ़ते होंगे, होम्योपैथी का कैरेक्टर। तो जो बात कहते थे, बड़ा तंजिया कालम होता था, बाद में उसका संकलन करके किताब की उस शक्ल में भी आया। तो डॉक्टर साहब की एक विशेषता, अभी भी आप यूट्यूब में इनके भाषण देखेंगे, कहीं व्याख्यान होते हैं, तो कोई भी भाषण इनका जब तक एक शेर उसमें एक आध ना हो तो वो पूरा नहीं होता था। और मैं बड़ी बार इनसे कहता मैं, डॉक्टर साहब वो शेर आपने बोला ना, इतना सटीक था कि आपको ज़्यादा भाषण देने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ी, उसी शेर से सब कुछ जो है वो पूरा हो गया। तो मैं इन्हीं से प्रेरणा लेते हुए, चूंकि इनका स्वागत करने का जिम्मा मुझे सौंपा गया है आप सब लोगों का, एक शेर से अपनी बात खत्म करूंगा कि डॉक्टर साहब आप मेहमान हुए तो ये वाम और दर अच्छा लगा, आप मेहमान हुए तो ये वाम और दर अच्छा लगा, आज पहली बार हमें अपना घर अच्छा लगा। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you, sir. How rightly it is said for India, अनेकता में एकता मेरे वतन की शान है, मेरा वतन महान है. Unity in diversity is the beauty of India and Indian culture. Now we have some of our distinguished guests from various parts of our country who wish to express their thoughts. First of all, I'll invite on stage Narendra Mehta ji, North President from Varanasi. And I request others to please join us on stage so that we can save time. Anu Majumdar ji and Y. Bab ji, Secretary General PRSI.
थैंक यू मिताली। मंत्री महोदय, डॉक्टर अजीत पाठक जी हमारे नेशनल प्रेसिडेंट, सम्मानित मंच, अति सम्मानित सदन, मैं भी मंदिरों के शहर काशी से बाबा भोलेनाथ का आशीर्वाद लेकर के आपके इस मंदिरों के शहर जम्मू में उपस्थित हुआ हूँ। मेरे लिए तो ये सबसे खुशी की बात कि जम्मू में ये चैप्टर प्रारंभ हो रहा है और ये नॉर्थ के रीजन में पड़ता है। अनिल जी, आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई। कम्युनिकेशन की बात होगी अभी, तो मैं दो तीन शब्द इसके बारे में कहना चाहूँगा। गवर्नमेंट कम्युनिकेशन केवल डिसेमिनेशन ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है। आप जब कोई किसी चीज़ को कम्युनिकेट करते हैं, कोई थॉट्स कम्युनिकेट करते हैं, तो जब तक उसका फीडबैक नहीं मिलेगा तब तक वो कम्युनिकेशन पूरा नहीं होता है। और जब ये फीडबैक मिल जाता है, देन वी कॉल इट पब्लिक रिलेशंस। बस इन्हीं लोगों के साथ मैं आप सबका स्वागत करता हूँ।
Now I request Anu Majumdar ji from Guwahati to kindly come and express her views.
नहीं, एक राज्य के साथ है ना, तो एक के साथ है। हाँ हाँ।
Thank you, ma'am. Respected our Honorable Minister Singh Saab, National President Dr. Pathak, and guests on the dais, and my all PRSI family members. I will now talk about Global Principle of Ethics 2018 of PRSI. Here are the 16 principles that we deem universal and fundamental to the practice of public relations and communications management. Guiding principles: 1. Working in the public interest. 2. Obeying laws and respect diversity and local customs. 3. Freedom of speech. 4. Freedom of media. 5. Freedom of assembly. 6. Honesty, truth, and fact-based communication. 7. Integrity. 8. Transparency and disclosure. 9. Privacy. Principle of professional practice. 1. Commitment to continuous learning and training. 2. Avoiding conflict of interest. 3. Advocating for profession. 4. Respect and fairness in dealing with publics. 5. Expertise without guarantee of results beyond capacity. 6. Behaviors that enhance the profession. And 7. Professional conduct. We undertake as PR people to conduct ourselves professionally and integrity, objectivity, truth, evidence-based communication, accuracy, fairness, and responsibility to our clients, our organizations, stakeholders, and to a wider society. To improve our individual competence and advance the knowledge and proficiency, the profession, through continuing education and research, and where available, through the pursuit of professional credentials of accreditations, to give consideration to the protection of privacy of individuals and respect for the spirit as well as the letter of applicable laws, to adhere to the principle of Code of Professional Standards for the practice of public relations and communication. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I invite my Vabchi, Secretary General PRSI, to kindly come up on the dais and express this.
Thank you, Madam. Good afternoon. Chief Guest of the program, Honorable Minister Jitendra Singh ji, Chairman of the program Rajinikanth ji, and National President of Public Relations Society of India, Dr. Jitendra ji, and other dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, my colleagues in the National Executive, Mr. Narendra Mehta and Anu Majumdar, and the chapter chairpersons and secretaries that came from different parts of the country, and the National Council members of Public Relations Society of India. Public Relations Society of India is a 65-year-old organization, having established in the year 1958 with public relations professionals and communication professionals and media educators as members. Happy that Jammu chapter is being launched through the hands of Honorable Minister today, and this day will be recorded in the history of Public Relations Society of India. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you. Now I request Dr. Monisa Kadri, Joint Secretary, PRSI JNK chapter, who's come all the way from Kashmir, to please come here and present the news.
ऑफ करके फिर से ऑन हो जाएगा। नहीं नहीं
Honorable Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh, Chairperson of the event, National President Dr. Ajit Pathak, dignitaries on stage and off the stage, a very good afternoon to everyone. And I bring in blessings and greetings from early. It is really an honor for me to be speaking here, and I am expressing my gratitude for the same. And I congratulate the entire PRSI family as well as
of achievement. Whenever you go abroad in a conference, people look at you with respect that you are the one who comes from India, which is led by Narendra Modi. So we are proud of his leadership, and wherever the gap is required to be filled with communication, we will do that. Honorable Minister is here. I have two submissions, sir. Every year we organize the All India Public Relations Conference, and 45th conference will be organized as International PR Festival. And it is our desire that we do something to honor our Prime Minister as the Public Relations Man of the century, because the way he has showcased his work, he has involved the international community. There is nobody who is better than him. In November, we will be having a All India in the name of International PR Festival, where representations of International PR Association and other international bodies will also be there. So kindly light our path so that we can move in that direction. Another thing which is very important for profession is that every profession which earns respect has accreditation system of the professionals. It is not anybody's job and everybody's job to do public relations, which is professional. We have been trying hard with the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting so that we can develop a process which is everywhere across the world to have accreditation of public relations professionals. If we can do that, we will add a lot of value to public relations profession. It will be done by those who are competent and certified to carry out those responsibilities. In the emerging India, the communication is going to play a greater role to showcase the strength of India, and that can be done by professional public relations. Before I conclude, I wish to share a small poem which I had written on that whatever was happening here. Don't take me political again. This is a nationalistic feeling which I am sharing with you through my pen. This poem is पत्थर का संबोधन कश्मीर को. मैं पत्थर हूँ, मेरा चरित्र है, मेरा ना प्रतिकार करो तुम. माँ भारती के लाल है फौजी, उन पर ना ऐसे वार करो तुम. तुम तो कहते मील का पत्थर, तुमको कहते मील का पत्थर, मैं इतिहास बनाता हूँ. मेरे स्वर न बिके कभी भी, सत्य सदा दोहराता हूँ. मैं रेत पर लिखा नाम नहीं, जिसे मिटा दे हर कोई धारा. मुझ पर लिखा नाम नहीं मिटता है, ये संस्कार हमारा. श्रद्धा और भक्ति कोई करता तो मैं शिव बन जाता. मेरे रिश्ते दिल के हैं बस, उन्हें सदा निभाता. किस पर तुमने मारा मुझको, किस पर तुमने मारा मुझको, जो जीवन के हैं दाता. वो सारी रात सुरक्षा करते जब पूरा देश सो जाता. जिस मिट्टी में जन्म लिया है, जिससे रक्त है पाया, उसके ही तुम दुश्मन क्यों हो, जिससे मिली तुमको है काया. काश्मीर स्वर्ग था भारत का, कश्मीर था अपना मान. बहकावे में आकर क्यों उसे बना रहे शमशान. कितनी तुममें क्रोध की ज्वाला, कैसा नफरत का ज्वार है. भारत की रोटी खाते हो पर आका सीमा पार है. मैं भारतीय, पहचान तिरंगा, रक्त में हिंदुस्तान है. वो मैं ना बर्दाश्त करूंगा जिसमें भारत का अपमान है. कोई समझ अब इनको दे दो, कोई समझ अब इनको दे दो. कोई मंत्र मौला पीर देंगे, अब के जो उठाया पत्थर जो तुमने, विश्वास करो हम चीर देंगे. विश्वास करो हम चीर देंगे. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Shri Arun Joshi ji, Editor-in-Chief JNK News Today, to kindly come up the dais and express his views.
Good afternoon, everybody. Professor Jitendra Singh in particular. I'm not making a mistake when I say or address Dr. Jitendra Singh as Professor Jitendra Singh. What Mr. Sanjeev Khajuria, my colleague, spoke about his column, being part of that organization where he started writing column, and he was admiringly described as Thomas Hardy by one of my senior colleagues, late with Paldeep. But his writings, his satire, sometimes I found he was Edison, sometimes I found he was Swift. But anyway, he made his point. And my best wishes to all my colleagues here, Mr. Sanjeev Khajuria, Mr. Ajit Pathak ji, Anil Somitra ji, and Rajdikant ji, and of course my colleague Dinesh Malhotra, with whom I have worked for years together. There is one thing very particular when you talk about government communications and public relations. I think one of the dignitaries said that it is not only the dissemination of information, but also the feedback. I think the times have changed. In our times, I'm talking of 80s, 90s also, we used to have cyclo-style press notes, and then we had to type and retype those. And now it's a time when Twitter informs you. And I think somebody rightly said that the era has changed. Prime Minister Modi has changed the whole concept of communication. There is PIB, there is Doordarshan, there are other government mediums which convey what the government says. But when Prime Minister himself comes and talks directly to the people, yesterday I was hearing him at India Today conclave, where he counted what all has been achieved in 75 days of this year only. So where does it leave the room for any public relations or any PIB, Doordarshan or AI? It does, but how communication has changed. We all remember his speech of 15th August 2014 when he talked of Swachh Bharat and toilets for all. So that became a campaign. That was a public relation, and public relation which had social context, which added to the prestige of the country. And when he announced demonetization, well, there's a slight, we were going to a wedding reception, and certainly there was a message that PM will be addressing the nation. So we stopped for a while. So शगुन का लिफाफा डाल दिया था हमने, तो अब अनाउंसमेंट हो गई कि 1000 और 500 का नोट ही नहीं चलेगा। अब हम सोचे कि जो सगुन उसको देंगे वो उसके साथ चीटिंग या अपने आप के साथ चीटिंग है, लेकिन हमने कहा इसका कोई मुतबादिल तो निकलेगा, और मुतबादिल निकला। और उसका आज फायदा जो हो रहा है, आज हमारे पास UPI है, आज हम अपने कार्ड्स यूज करते हैं, आज डिजिटल इकोनॉमी है, और यूरोप में जो बहुत एडवांस बातें करते हैं वो हमसे बहुत पीछे हैं। ये पब्लिक रिलेशन जब गवर्नमेंट कम्युनिकेशन का होता है तो वो डिपेंड करता है कि कौन बोल रहा है, कैसे बोल रहा है और क्रेडिबिलिटी कितनी है। उस क्रेडिबिलिटी को जब ट्रांसलेट किया जाता है तो पब्लिक रिलेशन सिर्फ पीआर कंपनीज के साथ नहीं बनता या उन एंकर्स के साथ नहीं बनता जो आपके हक में बोलते हैं, बल्कि पूरी दुनिया के साथ बनता है और अपने देश के 130 करोड़ लोगों से बनता है। जहाँ तक जम्मू कश्मीर का ताल्लुक है, इट्स अ चैलेंज। It's a challenge. It is as sensitive a place as it was. Many dynamics, many optics have changed. And again, I don't know whether Dr. Jitendra Singh remembers it or not. On 26th of May 2014, when he became the minister, he told media that discussion and debate on Article 370 has begun. And on August 5, 2019, we saw how that debate had culminated into an act, and we were given a post-Article 370 era. Abolition of Article 370 was an achievement in itself, but the narrative that has been set and that is being accepted, that is more important. And what you spoke about your poem of stones and army being targeted. That was the time. Now you don't see that. All those optics have changed. But there are still challenges. Optics have changed. Now today we are looking forward to hosting G20 meet in Srinagar. These are the optics which have changed. Secondly, what we need to do is that you should look at what Pakistan is saying and how Kashmir is new to that, or Kashmir is not excited about it. That's another achievement which we all must acknowledge. This is what's called public relations. This is what Modi era is. I'm not going to decry or deny the previous governments. I remember Mrs. Gandhi, Indira Gandhi, as Prime Minister, and carrying across those 2 years of emergency. I think she was a lioness and she did a lot. And it's not for me to give a certificate. I think the best certificate was given by late Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who called her Durga. And I think, leave aside who is heading the government or not, as Prime Minister also said yesterday, that I'm not saying that others didn't do anything. They did whatever was possible for them. But yesterday he said, we are marching ahead. He counted his achievements, but at the same time, now those are old things. Now I'm looking at forward. So, all the best to PRSI J&K chapter. Looking forward to your contribution to this union territory, which I personally believe should be state, and at a given time, as Home Minister has promised us, will be restoring our statehood. And with these words, I say the challenges are very high, but the people of Jammu and Kashmir have seen the changed times, and your challenges will become quite easy with the changed scenario in Jammu and Kashmir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Shri Dinesh Malhotra ji, Secretary General, Press Club of Jammu, to kindly come.
सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। मैं कहूँ कि आर्टिकुलेटेड नेता डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी, प्रोफेसर रजनीकांत जी जो आज के चेयरपर्सन हैं इस कार्यक्रम के, अजीत पाठक जी जो स्पेशल गेस्ट हैं आज के इस कार्यक्रम के, प्रोफेसर अनिल सोमेत्र जी जो जम्मू कश्मीर चैप्टर के PRSI के कन्वीनर हैं, डॉक्टर अरुण जोशी जी जो मेरे सीनियर भी हैं और मुझे इनके साथ काम करने का मौका भी मिला, वेटरन जर्नलिस्ट हैं, जम्मू कश्मीर की राजनीति पर कड़ी पकड़ रखते हैं, एक बहुत अच्छे राइटर हैं। तो अपने संजीत कुटेरिया जी जिन्होंने अपनी सेवाएं दूरदर्शन और दूसरे मीडिया हाउसेज में दी। संजीत कुटेरिया जी ने ऑफिशियली आप सबका वेलकम कर दिया है, लेकिन बीइंग ए सेक्रेटरी जनरल मैं कहता हूँ कि बीइंग ए रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ प्रेस क्लब ऑफ जम्मू, मेरी ड्यूटी है कि मैं आप सबका मंदिरों के शहर में बहुत बहुत स्वागत करूं। सब स्पेशली जो नेशनल काउंसिल आपकी जो PRSI की है, मैं उनका प्रेस क्लब की तरफ से बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। जो हमारा शहर है ये एक सिंबल ऑफ ब्रदरहुड और कम्युनल हार्मनी है, एक शाइनिंग एग्जांपल ऑफ ब्रदरहुड और कम्युनल हार्मनी है। जब इस शहर को राजा जामू लोचन ने बनाया था तो उन्होंने क्यों बनाया था इस शहर को? क्योंकि यहाँ एक ही घाट पर शेर और बकरी पानी पीते थे। तो ये शहर एक बहुत बड़ा, इस शहर की खासियत यह है कि हमारे यहाँ के लोगों की मतलब खासियत यह है कि इनका एकोमोडेटिंग नेचर है। 1947 में जब पाकिस्तान बना तो हजारों की संख्या में लोग पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर से जम्मू शहर में आए, तो लोगों ने उनको एकोमोडेट किया, लोगों ने उनको जम्मू शहर ने सब लोगों को एकोमोडेट किया। हमारी यही नेचर है कि हम एकोमोडेटिंग नेचर है हमारी, हम सबको बाहें फैला के सबका स्वागत करते हैं। आप सबका फिर शहर में बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। अगर जम्मू शहर की बात करें तो बड़ा लंबा कल्चर होता है, बड़ा लंबा टाइम चाहिए जम्मू शहर के बारे में। तो मैं इस ओकेजन पर सबसे पहले अपने और प्रोफेसर अनिल सोमेत्र जी को बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं कि आज जम्मू कश्मीर का चैप्टर फॉर्मली लॉन्च हो रहा है। मैं इस लॉन्चिंग में मैं क्योंकि 2 महीने से मैं इनकी गतिविधियां देख रहा हूँ। पहली मीटिंग जो हुई थी वो प्रेस क्लब में हुई थी, तो उसमें अपने प्रोफेसर अनिल सोमेत्र जी ने कहा कि प्रेस क्लब को हम इन्वॉल्व करना चाहते हैं। तो अनिल सोमेत्र जी की जो टीम है वो किस तरह से काम कर रही थी, मैं रियली इनसे इम्प्रेस हुआ कि इतना अच्छा काम किया इन्होंने 2 महीने के अंदर। ना केवल अपनी एक्टिविटी की प्रेस PRSI की, बल्कि इसको फॉर्मली लॉन्च भी करते और नेशनल काउंसिल की एक मीटिंग भी जम्मू में करवा दी। मैं रियली इनका थैंक्स करता हूँ, इनको कंग्रेचुलेट करता हूँ। ये बहुत बड़ी अचीवमेंट है आप लोगों की। इसमें डॉक्टर अर्चना जी हैं, मनीषा कादरी जी बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं। एक्सेप्ट किया कि हम मिलजुल के काम करेंगे। जो प्रेस, क्योंकि ये जम्मू कश्मीर में ये कोऑर्डिनेशन बहुत जरूरी है। 5 अगस्त 2019 के बाद जम्मू कश्मीर एक ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के दौर से गुजर रहा है। जितनी फेक इंफॉर्मेशन जम्मू कश्मीर में फ्लो की जा रही है, उस इंफॉर्मेशन को चेक करने के लिए फैक्चुअल और एक्यूरेट इंफॉर्मेशन मासेस के अंदर जाए, जनमानस में इंफॉर्मेशन जाए। ये जरूरी है कि PR एजेंसीज और यहाँ के जर्नलिस्ट मिलजुल के कोऑर्डिनेट करें, ताकि जनमानस के बीच जो सीमा के उस पार से फेक इंफॉर्मेशन यहाँ स्प्रेड की जा रही है उसको काउंटर किया जा सके। ये हमारा मकसद यही था PRSI के साथ कोऑर्डिनेशन करने का, कि हम इस इंफॉर्मेशन को, हमारे 822 मेंबर जर्नलिस्ट मेंबर हैं, उनमें से 200 मेंबर जो हैं कश्मीर वैली के हैं। और कश्मीर वैली का ऐसा कोई भी जर्नलिस्ट, प्रोमिनेंट जर्नलिस्ट नहीं है जो हमारे जम्मू प्रेस क्लब का मेंबर नहीं है। और हमारे लिए बड़े प्राइड की बात है, गौरव की बात है कि डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी ना केवल हमारे जर्नलिस्ट मेंबर हैं, बल्कि हमारे जो फाउंडर मेंबर हैं प्रेस क्लब के, उनमें से एक हैं। और ये हर चुनाव में हमारे जब चुनाव होते हैं उसमें ये पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं। हम इनका थैंक्स करते हैं कि इन्होंने हमारे प्रेस क्लब की रेपुटेशन को ऊपर तक ले गए हैं। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं फिर ये कहता हूँ कि प्रेस क्लब की तरफ से जो भी आपको हेल्प चाहिए होगी PRSI की तरफ से, एज ए जनरल सेक्रेटरी और रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ प्रेस क्लब, मैं आपको अश्योर करता हूँ सबको कि पूरी हेल्प आपको मिलेगी, ताकि हम फेक इंफॉर्मेशन को काउंटर कर पाए। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have with us this morning Dr. Jitendra Singh ji as our chief guest. Now, sir, I very humbly request you to kindly come up on the dais and express your views and enlighten us with the words of wisdom. Thank you, sir.
Seated on the dais, Dr. Pathak, Professor Soumitra, Professor Rajni, Dinesh ji, Arun Joshi ji, Sanjeev ji. At the outset, I have to thank for all the kind words that have been said about me. It's been a lifelong association with some of the friends, whether it is Arun Joshi, Dinesh ji, or Sanjeev ji, of course. So I have to actually thank you for making me a part of this and part of maybe this communication fraternity for quite some time, for several decades now. And also for reminding me for some of those facets which one tends not to discuss, because the irony in our setup is that if you say that you are a politician, then you are not taken seriously as a physician. And say that you are a physician, then you are not taken seriously as a minister. And if you say you are a writer or a freelance columnist, then they say क्या इसके अलावा और क्या करते हैं. So, और संजीव जी कह रहे थे शायरी का, तो फैज का एक शेर है कि वो लोग बहुत खुशकिस्मत थे जो काम से इश्क करते थे या इश्क को काम समझते थे. तो हम जीते जी मसरूफ रहे, कुछ इश्क किया कुछ काम किया. अब ये खुदा कि सब पर ये नेमत नहीं रहती, क्योंकि अगर सिर्फ काम ही करो और काम को इश्क समझ लो तो भी निभाना मुश्किल है. और इश्क ही है एक काम 24 घंटे का, तो फिर उसके नताइज क्या होते हैं वो सब आप वाकिफ हैं. So it's a very tightrope walk when you are trying to dabble into too many things, but I am glad with the support of friends like Sanjeev, like Arun Joshi ji. I was trying to balance the different facets of whatever aptitude I had. So to begin with, it's my formal and my pleasant duty to congratulate the PPSI, Sanjeev ji, Professor Soumitra, Dr. Anil Pathak for launching this chapter. I'm sure this is going to open a new chapter for Jammu and Kashmir as well. It's a new initiative. It's also going to open of thought, of thinking for this part of the country. And it's not so easy to actually demarcate or draw lines between communication, public relation, media. It's all interlinked, as Arun was trying to suggest. And also not easy to say कि इसका राजनीति से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं, जैसे Dr. Pathak कह रहे थे. I think that's because राजनीति somehow has come to be seen as a bad word. लेकिन जब हम गवर्नमेंट की पब्लिक रिलेशंस के साथ कम्युनिकेशन करेंगे तो राज्य में क्या नीति चल रही है उसकी बात करेंगे, पॉलिटिक्स की नहीं करेंगे. तो राजनीति डज नॉट नेसेसरली मीन सियासत. जैसे फिराक गोरखपुरी का है कि उनका तो फर्ज है रबाब सियासत जाने, मेरा पैगाम मोहब्बत है जहां तक पहुंचे. तो अगर आपने सरकार ने जो अपनी मोहब्बत के साथ प्रेरित जो कार्यक्रम पहुंचाए हैं उनको जनता तक पहुंचाने का पैगाम वो राज की नीति उन तक पहुंचा रहे हैं. Not necessarily राजनीति in the sense that you are fighting an election or you are an aspirant for an election. And of course, it's not easy. Easy also because I agree with what Arun Joshi was saying. I belong to a generation, so also he, Sanjeev ji, many others like us. We have seen the communication culture evolving from one level to the other. From one methodology to the other. and also one technology to the other. And we have also seen technologies taking over technologies. And having this program in a city like Jammu, in the context of Jammu, also I can cite an anecdote because this transition has happened over the last 1 century. And when I was listening to Arun Joshi, I was reminded of an anecdote which was told to us by none less than one of the stalwarts among the first generation journalists of Jammu and Kashmir, B.P. Sharma ji, whose third generation is now also active in media. Shiv, I think, has just retired up from Tribune. तो वो सुनाया करते थे बड़े शौक के साथ that one day he received a message from the then head of state, Maharaja Hari Singh, that he wanted to see him. So he reached the palace, he was in the waiting area, then Maharaja arrived, made him comfortable. And then said कि पंडित जी वो सामने थाली पड़ी है उसमें से उठाकर लड्डू खा लीजिए और सामने कागज और कलम है वो लेकर के खबर बनाइए। खबर ये कि कल रात महारानी ने युवराज को जन्म दिया। That was the then crown prince who today is, as all of us know, Dr. Karan Singh. So he says that he drafted a news, went to the telegraph office, as was the culture those days. The news got published next day's Tribune. And by the time that issue of Tribune reached the people of Jammu, it was the 4th day of the birth. Nowadays you have such high-tech channels and communication means you can even count the labor pains before the coin is born. So see how much of transition has happened. So it itself is a challenge to grow with it, to adapt to it, and more so for those of us who have grown, who were actually groomed and trained in a different methodology. And therefore, I think this new, and of course then evolving from radio to television and the electronic channels, and now you have social media, and social media you have so many other options as well. So the communication means that we have at hand today are both instant and hasty. Now mind my words, it is instant but also hasty. No two words in English language mean the same. Because hasty sometimes also carries connotations which may not be so positive. So that again is a challenge. And the other challenge is that when you use these means of communication, you could be saving time at the risk of losing the thought. Or you may be sending the content in time, but you may be losing the spirit of the content. Because it's not that age which Arun was talking about. You cycle style, in the process also, your thought process going on, you rewrite, you re-revise. You have finished doing it even before you could give it a thought. So there is a risk. The time is saved, the thought lost. The content saved, the spirit lost. And the other aspect to it is that communication is not all about media. Media is just a small component of communication. Communication is a very wide spectrum. Or at the maximum you could say that media is one of the many options of communication. And I think more than anybody else, the section of society which needs to understand this fact is the one to which I currently belong, the politicians. When we give a bite, when we talk to a TV channel, we are actually talking to the media, we are not communicating. And I'm sure this PPSI will fill up that gap. Now what I mean, I'll explain in a second. And I'll again talk in the context of Jammu only because We are now standing over here. I talk to media, but I don't communicate. What do I mean by saying that? I'll just give you a very recent example, which is also connected with what Dinesh was saying. 5 अगस्त 2019 के बाद बहुत से ऐसे कानून जो केंद्र में लागू हो चुके थे यहाँ नहीं लागू हुए थे, यहाँ भी लागू हुए. One of them was, which happened through me because I am associated with 6-7 departments. Prime Minister said from the ramparts of Red Fort, can we abolish interviews? जब इंटरव्यू की कॉल आती है तो घर में भूचाल आ जाता है. And then it used to be several complaints that you have nepotism, you have favoritism, you have even allegations of money having exchanged hands, etc., etc. So in DOPT, we did a quick exercise, fast track, and from the 1st of January 2016, the interviews to these lower posts were abolished all across the country. It didn't happen in Jammu and Kashmir because the then government was not keen to do it. It happened only after this, after the shift over. और उसके बाद जो पहले 2-3 इम्तिहान हुए रिटर्न के आधार पर, those who got selected through the written were handed over the appointment letters. Those who could not went and sat on the dharna because their mind was conditioned from the earlier happenings. कि अगर 10 नंबर आए हैं रिटर्न में तो 100 नंबर दे दो इंटरव्यू में. अगर आपके घर में कहीं वो डोमेस्टिक हेल्प का काम करता रहा है तो उसको लगा दो. और या फिर किसी ने रिटर्न में 100 लिए हैं अंक तो उसको 10 दे दो इंटरव्यू में तो उसको नौकरी से वंचित कर दो. But this was a revolutionary decision. But the people here, the boys, the youth, even their parents were not used to it. तो उन्होंने सोचा चलिए धरने बैठते हैं तो कुछ ना कुछ लिखोगे. और हम ही लोग जाने लग गए उनके पास. और क्या होता है कि जब कोई आगे माइक लेकर आता है तो दिल करता है बोलना जरूर है कुछ, नहीं तो ये मीडिया वाले कहते हैं साहब ये नालायक है, या कहेंगे इसके पास जवाब ही नहीं है, और हम उसी में फैलावे में आ जाते हैं. हम ये भूल जाते हैं कि वो अपनी नौकरी कर रहा है, मैं अपनी नौकरी करूँ. तो हम बार बार जाके धरने पर जाके हाथ भी फेरते थे पीठ पे, कहते थे कि हाँ साहब क्या कहा आपने, इन बच्चों से इतने दिन से बैठे हुए आपने क्या कहा. हम इनको आश्वासन देते हैं कि इनकी नौकरी जरूर लगेगी. Now I have spoken to the media, I have not communicated. And for the time being, this is a win-win situation. The person who came to take my bite has made his day. His boss would be happy that there is a bite which is going to run. And I'm happy that I'm going to see my face all day. No one else is bothered to see my face. But at least I will see. But if I had communicated, if I had learned the nuances of communication, then I would have told the boys कि बेटा अब निज़ाम बदल गया. वो ज़माना गया. यहीं पर जम्मू कश्मीर में हमने देखा सुना सिगरेट की डिब्बी पर लिखकर नौकरी लगती थी. अब ऐसा नहीं होगा. And I tell you, I was here on a visit to Jammu. A boy came and fell at my feet. I asked, what is this happening? तो मुझे युवा मोर्चा के लड़का कहा कि ये लड़का आपसे मिलना चाह रहा था. कह रहा साहब 2 बार मैं फेल हो गया सिर्फ इंटरव्यू की खातिर, और ये आपने जो खत्म किया मुझे आज नौकरी मिली. तो मैंने कहा बेटा हम तो इतना बड़ा पाप करते रहे इसका मतलब. तो बजाय इसके हम उन धरने में बैठे बच्चों को समझाते कि भाई अगर इसी तरह धरने बैठोगे तो अगली बार भी रिटर्न में आपको दिक्कत आएगी. कोई किसी की मदद नहीं कर पाएगा इसमें. It's all written and that too on the computer mode which is going. Or you try other modes of livelihood which are in plenty now. We have startup movement in this country. Already we have 90,000 startups employing 9 lakh people. We have 108 unicorns, out of whom 36 unicorns are led by 1 or 2 women, co-founder or founder. The huge, much more. हमने वो नहीं समझाया, हमने आसान काम ढूंढा, हमने आश्वासन दिया, ये जानते हुए कि मैंने अपने आप से भी झूठ बोला इस बच्चे से. That is where Dr. Pathak you have to step in. Because where the requirement of communication remains unfulfilled because of the expediency of our professional constraints. Secondly, पुराने ज़माने में एक डिक्टम होता था, रिपोर्ट इज सीक्रेट, comment is privilege. So the person on the spot has not to get carried away by the heat of the incident or the heat of the or the sentiment of the incident, or get carried or get affected by it. He has to report it as it is, and then of course the op-ed page or the editorial page has the privilege to follow the line that has been following. And that would keep the report at least saved from being affected by any kind of bias. Now that also does not necessarily, because I have, as I never went to a mass communication school. But ये क्या होता है कि जब आदमी फॉर्मल पढ़ाई नहीं करता तो ज़्यादा पढ़ लेता है self education में. Because my formal education in English language was hardly class 11. But then I self-educated myself and read all the Tagore and all Arkenar and all that. Could also, as Arun is saying, could write at least to an extent that it was readable. So communication may be, these are small things which are not understood, which are not explained. Is a skill. The reporting is not carrying any bias, but that does not mean that you don't, as a good reporter, you do not have an icing on the cake that will show your superior talent compared to your counterpart. So there have been also reporters who would give a tilt to the intro, to the caption, in the fashion that it becomes attractive. Now I'll give you an example for that. Somewhere in the first half of the 20th century, the then Pope from Rome was on his first visit to Paris. And it made a big news. So when he arrived at Paris, some representatives from the church went to receive him. They were accompanying him down to the destination. Some of the newspaper reporters also following him because that was the print media time. And these escorts who were accompanying him, from stop to stop or from place to place, they would tell him, "Father, this is the colony where the railway officials live." Then they would go to another spot. In the course of the driving, would say, "Father, this is the most popular market of Paris. And Father, this is where the government officials of the ministry live," whatever, etc., etc. So while passing through one spot, one of the escorts says, "Father, this is the area which is known as red light area because a number of sex workers live here." The father spontaneously says, "Oh, what do you believe? How many sex workers should be living in Paris?" And the smart reporter frames the news, which gets printed in next day's newspaper with the following headline: "Pope arrives in Rome, comma, inquires about sex workers." Now, factually and technically, this is not wrong. Also, the boy is not carrying any bias. There might be some issues of ethics, which I am not going into it. But the problem arises when the reporter becomes an activist and starts carrying the bias. And therefore, and this is more, I think the risk has got multiplied after we entered into this era of electronic channel. The morning meeting is decided at 9 o'clock we have to have this debate. And these boys are pushed into the field. Go and collect bytes to develop the story by 9 o'clock. So they are under tremendous pressure. Because the debate has to happen, the slot is already earmarked. And we saw this happening even in COVID times. But now when there is no issue, to build up an issue, both the person working in the field is under pressure and the bias is manufactured and the news gets manufactured. In the process, they learn to have some kind of a political leaning as well, as Dr. Pathak was saying. Sometimes it happens over a period of time. Because we have again forgotten to demarcate between a genuine political leaning or a genuine ideological leaning to which every individual is entitled, even if he is a journalist, even if he is an unbiased media person or a communicator, he has his right to decide which ideology he subscribes to. But that is different. And the example is that of Hindustan Times when the earlier Birla, Ghanshyam Das Birla was running it. He was virtually supporting all the activities of Gandhi, but never nursing the ambition to become a minister or an MP. So the problem arises, A, when the reporter becomes activist, B, when the management starts a certain pressure on him. There has been a long debate in this country right from the times of independence, how to ensure the independence of the editorial and the management staff from the proprietor. And in the 70s, it was pushed a little harder. And then, of course, the emergency came and everything got scattered away. And therefore, as I say, the genuine political leaning is entitlement of everybody. But to have it with a motive is what causes the problem. But therein comes the modern means which Arun Joshi was referring to and Modi. Today we have such technology that you can do independent of them. For many years now, I have not run after any of the media channels. यहाँ पर ये भी कहते हैं बाइट ही नहीं देते. अरुण जी, दिनेश जी would buy me out. इतने सारे पोर्टल हो गए, किसको देना? लेकिन I am doing well for myself without that, because I was lucky to learn in the early stages how to create my own ecosystem. And I think the first cue, I must admit, came from none less than Modi ji when he was the chief minister. Since we were close observers, I could see the entire media was against him. Mainstream media always writing against. English media writing against. Godra, Bodra, nothing of that sort. Yet transformed Gujarat overnight. First time I went to Gujarat for a seminar in IIM in 1996. And then I went later when he was the chief minister. I was amazed. The first ever state to have 24-hour rural electrification. हमारे यहाँ 12 घंटे कर. But this was not being reported. Even the local Doordarshan was under pressure from the center not to report. And he was the first to develop these social media options to carry to the people what he was doing. And he made a success story out of this, which is now a case story. And he also taught us how to fight an election successfully. Then I realized that we have so much technology on ourselves. आप लोग भी क्या करते हैं? जाके YouTube पे चढ़ा देते हैं, Facebook पे लाइव कर देते हैं. मैं खुद भी तो कर सकता हूँ वही सब कुछ. Twitter तो मैं खुद भी कर सकता हूँ. Only I should have the proper kind of व्यवस्था, skill, and a team. And therefore, 2, 3, because we are talking of communication now, not of media. The first, again I'll give you the examples from Jammu itself. The first ever railway bridge, highest in my constituency, Riyasi. It began about 8 years back, after a lot of effort. I was going around beating the drum, nobody was interested. Suddenly one day I happened to come across a lady from the Delhi bureau of one of the French newspapers. So I asked her, as he said, the satire is in blood. So I said, I believe your country has the tallest monument of the world. She said, of course, Eiffel Tower. I said, do you know, in my constituency, there's a monument which is going to be 35 meters higher than the Eiffel Tower. She looked at it. Said, what is that? I said, if you could give me 2 persons, I am going there tomorrow. I'll tell you. She obliged. We got a small documentary. Only after that was circulated, It took us about 3-4 years till the local media also started reporting it. Now, of course, it's become a fashion to report it. Similarly, the other experiment which we did, in-house. So we have in-house means of communication. Technology is so advanced now, so advanced and so instant. By the time a TV channel reports, I would have done my own reporting much faster and in my own way. Second is the purple revolution, lavender. Even now, media is not very much interested because they're interested in, I'll make instant news if I abuse one of the leaders here. So instantly on the news and then they'll go to him. कि आपको उसने गाली दी और इसने आपको कैसा लग रहा है गाली सुन के और आपने बदले में क्या गाली देनी है. But lavender doesn't make news. So we cultivated our own mechanism. We got a small 2 minutes video which is there on Twitter handle, even my Twitter handle you can approach, you can see a beautiful lavender song written in the lyrics of the local, by a local poet in Bhadravai. Local music from the folklore of Bhadravai, sung in the fields of lavender. बिल्कुल वैसा सीन रिक्रिएट हो गया जैसा देखा है ख्वाब तो ये सिलसिले हुए. ट्यूलिप में जैसे अमिताभ बच्चन देखा रहेगा. आप देखिए उस गीत को. It's become hit. हमने बिना, and because the media was not interested, उनको लगा इसमें लेवेंडर में क्या रहेगा. But there your role comes because 25,000 boys and girls have already got livelihood through that by now, and they are rolling in lakhs. A small bottle of lavender perfume is selling in the market for 15,000, much more than government job. Now this is the communication. This is the virtue of communication. This is the duty of the communicators. What I am saying is that we now can cultivate and create our own ecosystems. Those who are trying to destroy the society or doing the negative acts are already doing it. But we can do it for the positive reasons as well. And my fourth example is very personal. In the 2019 election, because the election time, the communication of the media goes bizarre. Many of the local channels get affected. I would not use any other word. Affected for whatever reasons. So there was a huge campaign against us, against the constituency that I represent and the candidate representing there, that they are going to lose this seat. And one of the channels here who believe that they are the kingmakers and king destroyers also went to the extent of defeating me with a margin of 30,000 and declared another candidate as the winner. So much so that I started receiving calls from Delhi. My boys got a little panicky. They said, now, shall we call them? I said, if you call them, they'll blackmail you all the more. Okay, usne itna diya to usse zyada diya. So we created our own vyavastha. We spread our boys across the constituency. We launched a campaign, hashtag self-development. They will go by the side of a new medical college constructed during this tenure of the member parliament, get a photograph, get a video. Then go to a bridge, Kiniya-Gadayal Bridge, Atal Setu Bridge. They'll go to Mukherjee, the first ever road project, tunnel project named after Sama Prasad Mukherjee, longest in Asia. Somebody would drive down a bridge, take a video, put hashtag. So that hashtag selfie with development became a hit. We didn't succumb to the blackmail of any local portal. We created our own portal. And the result was that seat was won by a record margin of 3,58,000, highest ever in any Lok Sabha election in Jammu and Kashmir after independence. So what I'm trying to assert is the magic of communication. Because the technology has given us so much of leverage. And therefore, it is at these times when others are still getting used to it, communication of government and government, between government and people. More so in the times when someone like Prime Minister Modi is heading the dispensation. Because he has actually initiated some of those areas which were never in news. As mentioned, Swachhata was never in news. So the conventional media takes some time to adapt to it. He has initiated A, the foundational areas, B, the unexplored areas. Like for example, from the ramparts of Red Fort, he says Startup India, Startup India in 2015. Many people don't understand what is it. And for the next 6 months or 7 months, nobody could actually make out what it's all about. Only till they realized that from 350 startups, we had gone over to more than 90,000. And now it started making news. That too not much, at least in this part of the country, it's still an alien world. Similarly, twice he spoke about deep sea mission. In his Independence Day address of 2021, in his Independence Day of 2022, hardly reported in any conventional media because they couldn't get what it is. There is where your rule steps in. Deep sea mission, the blue economy, which for the first time any Prime Minister has pointed out, unexplored ocean resources. We have a coastal area 7,500 kilometers long, longer than any other country of the world. We have an ocean named Indian Ocean. Australia is a continent, is an island, is a country, but the ocean is not named Australian Ocean. Because my forefathers knew there's a huge wealth lying inside. And when we say tomorrow we will be a world economy, how would it be? It be on the basis of the value addition of minerals, metals, living, non-living resources which remain unexplored. That and the Himalayan resources. जिसमें आपका लेवेंडर आ गया होगा. Now when we talk of communication of the government and the public in the context of publication, this is what has, because that is important also to make it arrive to the stakeholder. Let those who are going to avail of it know about what it is all about. How would they otherwise know? Similarly, since I am dealing with 6-7 departments, I'll just give you a very small example. Department of Pensions. Some of the reforms, and I said most of the governance reforms in this during this regime, Prime Minister Modi, as I think Professor, you were referring to governance reforms as well, is not only governance reforms related to administration per se, they are actually huge socio-economic reforms. Like for example, pensions. I know how many of you know, a divorced daughter was not entitled to family pension of her parent. We did away with that rule. And nobody reported it. In the national papers, I think only Times of India was one paper reported. Over here, I think Daily Excelsior. Others didn't find it very important. It is here where you have to come in. See, we had done such a huge, otherwise, a divorced or a separated daughter had to wait for a judgment from a court. Now in these days, when even the VVIPs don't get a court judgment for 25 years, they get tired, they keep pleading in the court, I want to remarry, still they don't get it. So we have done a huge reform. Similarly, in the context of Jammu and Kashmir, more important when we are standing on a platform in Jammu and Kashmir, you had a rule, I'm not sure how many in this room are aware, if an employee goes missing, which is not uncommon in Kashmir Valley, sometimes he's kidnapped, sometimes he's killed, sometimes he runs away, sometimes he's taken away across the border. If the employee goes missing, his family would not receive pension. Unless one of the two conditions filled. A, that his dead body is recovered. Or 7 years have passed. So I thought this was quite relevant to Jammu Kashmir, to the left-wing affected areas, to northeast. We did away with that. Because those 7 years, they were crucial for their family and you are depriving them. The question was, what if he comes back? If he comes back, we have means to adjust it in his salary. Nobody reported. At least this information should have gone to those families who have their missing employees in the family. Number of them in Kashmir Valley. Who would do that? TV channel would not do that, newspaper would do that. So PRSI if also doesn't do that, who else? So I think this is, first of all, let us all do a very serious study and understand what is going to be the spectrum. We have a huge role to play. We have to fill in a large space which is not being willingly or unwillingly taken up by the others. Similarly, Northeast. Now everybody is singing the song of Northeast. But when we went to Northeast in 2014, there were at least 3 states which had not seen a train. Meghalaya, Arunachal. Now you have an airport everywhere. Now it's the relevant model is being cited everywhere. But the media was always fond of reporting that a boy comes there, he feels embarrassed because of the features. Mrs. Majumdar is laughing, she would wear me out what it was before 2014 and what is now. When you landed in Guwahati, the demand was that we want more helicopter sorties to go to Shillong. Now nobody wants to take a helicopter, such a beautiful road. Boys and girls are now coming out and being wrapped up in the aviation industry, in the hotel industry. Now, if we do not communicate this to the society there, who else would? And then, before I end, let me also conclude. Communication is not only also about information. Communication is also not about news dispensation. Communication is also not only about carrying the government programs to the world. Communication today has assumed also a huge role in education and career building. And I'll give you a small example of that too. Actually, I'm a man of anecdotes, so what to do. About 4 years back, we had a small girl from Sopur. She had qualified IIT through IIT JE. A small little bubbly girl. So I asked her, I said, you live in a place where you don't have any coaching centers, there are encounters outside, how do you prepare? So she quickly took out this gadget from her pocket, showed me. Sir, 8 घंटे रोज 8 महीने और 24 घंटे इसमें सब कुछ. So she had prepared from a mobile. So this mobile is your textbook now, it's your library now. People are qualifying civil services, qualifying IIT JE, qualifying NET. And now this Modi government has also provided Wi-Fi at the railway stations, so people, when they don't have the internet connection, they go to the railway station to prepare. So it's also communication for education, communication that too we will have to carry to the people under the new education policy, the NEP 2020, what is it that we all have to offer. So, and I think we have a very ambitious and a tempting goal also. We could change actually the prioritization of the media reporting also, if we are effective. Like, for example, in COVID, what was happening? All the electronic channels were talking only about COVID from morning to night. In contrast to what was the Western media doing. They just had a news bulletin and COVID was one of the news. यहाँ नौबत ये आ गई कि पैनल में लाने के लिए लोग नहीं बचे. Many of my students started going. कहाँ से हुआ? हमारे resident जाने लगे दोस्तों. Because they said that the TV management is not able to find enough doctors, so now they are carrying whoever is available. Here we can prioritize. Here we can give them the other part of it also. And also prioritization of the subject rather than individual. Very early, I made a principle for myself. I hope I will stick on for the rest of my life also. कि विषय पर बात करो, व्यक्ति पर बात करो. I have not till now abused anybody. Thank God. I hope I will not. And just because a mic, second dictum, just because a mic is placed before you, does not mean that you necessarily have to speak. हमें लगता है कि नहीं बोले तो हमारी नालायकी हो जाएगी. वो देखो हमारे पुराने मित्र बैठे हैं, यही गिला रहता है कि आप बोलते नहीं. तो कहता है कि कहने को बहुत कुछ था, अगर कहने पर आते तो कुछ कहने पर तूफान उठा देती है दुनिया. तो जिस कहने से तो दुनिया में तूफान आ जाए, वो ना ही कहना बेहतर. Here the organizations, as Dr. Pathak very appreciably said, they have no vested interest. They have no political vision. They just want to live up to a cause. They can create a new kind of a culture. And therefore, the challenge now would be, because communication is emerging as an institution, to place the institution above the individual. And if we falter even for a while, whether inadvertently or for any other vested reason, we might have done some good for ourselves, though very temporarily, but we would have left lasting wounds for the next generation. And now the next 25 years, I think, and I conclude with this wish that the initiative that you have taken today will pave the way for a new renaissance for this entire region in Jammu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was so enlightening. Now I invite on stage Professor Rajnikant, Director College Development Council and President, J&K Vigyan Bharati, to give presidential remarks.
Thank you. On the stage, the most revered and our beloved son of the soil, Minister in Indian Government, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Dr. Ajit Pathak ji, Dr. Anil Soumitra, Mr. Sanjeev Khajuria, Dinesh Malhotra, Mr. Arun Joshi, Director Dr. D.S. Reddy, who is incidentally not here, Charge Director, and Dr. Zabir, Major General S.K. Sharma, the team of Vigyan Bharati, the organizing secretary of Vigyan Bharati, Mr. Samir Vohra, Shri Bharat Sharma ji, Shri Sanjeev Sharma ji, friends from various parts of the country and various parts of the state as well. Best wishes and greetings to you all. The proposal to have the launch of Jammu chapter of Public Relations Society of India was discussed with me around a week ago by Dr. Anil Soumitra ji, and I come from the educational fraternity, and I am a professor of physics and dean research at University of Jammu. I am responsible for being the president of Vigyan Bharati, a name which I don't know many of you may not be aware of, and I would say it is because of lack of communication that civil society is not aware of this huge department which is responsible for spreading the message of Indian science to its stakeholders. I immediately discussed with him and decided that I will like to, offer you assistance in whatever way you want, and we will organize this meeting. And through this meeting, I would like to convey in another 3 to 4 minutes some of the, missions of Vigyan Bharati to the respected audience who is present in this auditorium. Very rightly said about our revered Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji and the skill of communication and articulation that is, our Dr. Jitendra Singh ji is blessed with. The time has come when the schemes and, notifications of the government move much faster than the thought process of a common man, and by the time the scheme is notified by the center, everybody is aware of it because of the channels which are available for communication. Friends, I would like to draw an analogy between men and materials because they have one thing very common. I am a person from material science, so therefore I will give you one small example of materials which exhibit different properties. The minimum unit that represent a material is, we call it as a unit cell. And a unit cell is something which contains the molecules. And it is in that, three-dimensional box, the molecules make intra and intermolecular interactions and decide the kind of properties they will exhibit. And when this box is repeated three-dimensionally, it gives rise to a huge crystal structure. On the same analogy, I would say that a house we live in is identical to the unit cell in materials, because in the house we are 4 to 6 members in a family who live together. Transformation has taken place in our social system. Earlier we used to have instruction based generation. आपने कुछ कहा, पानी चाहिए, ये कर दो, वो कर दो, वो हो जाता था. After that, in the last 25 to 30 years, we got discussion based generation, and thereafter we had debate based generation, and today we have confrontation based generation. And when we have a confrontation based generation, it becomes all the more important for all of us to start communication within the family. If communication happens within the family, I'm sure eventually it will happen between the families. And when it happens between the families, it becomes a talk of the town and it spreads over to the entire locality and the city. The essence of Vigyan Bharati is to spread the message of Indian science. Friends, this organization is responsible for creating an environment for the students coming from 6th standard to 11th standards, having science as its subject. They are given an opportunity to appear in a national examination, and once they qualify that, a state level camp is organized where around 120 students are made to participate, and the first 3 from each class are accordingly rewarded and recommended for national participation. And last year, one of the young persons from our state was number 2 at the national level in terms of its project presentation and the model he had made. My earnest request through this medium of Public Relation Society of India to all my fellow friends who are sitting over here is that kindly do have a communication within the family system. In the evening, as people say that evening time is the time of the devil, and when we try to retire in the evening, everybody is busy with his or her mobile system or television, or trying to go to the respective rooms, thereby not giving any opportunity to the children to listen to what they have experienced throughout the day. It is because of this hiccup that the children have started getting themselves used to or addicted to the modern gadgets like laptops and mobiles. It is my earnest prayer to all those who listen to it that it is very, very important to establish a accord with the children to make them aware of what is happening in the world. Rightly said by Dr. Jitendra Singh ji that if you look at the news content these days, it is, it contains everything except, scientific achievements or academic achievements made by the educational institutes or the children at large. This is something which is completely missing. It has to be there. Through this podium, using the umbrella of Public Relations Society of India, I would like to tell to Dr. Pathak that we would like to have a close association, because we are also on the same page where we are responsible primarily to spread the message of Indian science and to hunt for those young and ignited minds who can do wonderful things and make India innovation-based society. I would like to thank our chief guest, Mananiya Jitendra Singh ji, for having accepted our invitation and have spared his valuable time when the session in the country, parliamentary session, is going on. Thank you very much, Dr. Anil Soumitra ji, for having given some space to Vigyan Bharati to speak. In case you want to have some information about Vigyan Bharati, kindly do the Google search, just write Vigyan Bharati, and you will get to know about the world of information about it. Thank you so much. Grateful.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate each and every one of your presence today, this afternoon. So now we have token of gratitude for all our esteemed guests. I would request Dr. Ajit Pathak ji, National President, PRSI, to felicitate our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji.
Side.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us today, this afternoon. Now I request Professor Anil Samotra ji, Chairperson PRSI JNK Chapter, to felicitate Shri Ajit Pathak ji, National President PRSI. Thank you, sir. Now I request Colonel Devendra Anand, Executive Member PRSI JNK Chapter, to felicitate Professor Rajni Kanji, Director College Development Council and President JNK Vigyan Bharati. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I request Dr. Archana Kumari ji, Secretary PRSI JNK Chapter, to felicitate Shri Arun Joshi ji, Editor-in-Chief JNK News today. In the meantime, I'll request Dr. Monisa Kadri ji to please join us on the stage. Thank you. Now I request Dr. Monisa Kadri ji, Joint Secretary PRSI JNK Chapter, to felicitate Shri Dinesh Manotra, Secretary General Press Club. Thank you. Now I request Shri Ramesh Raina ji, Executive Member PRSI JNK Chapter, to felicitate Shri Sanjeet Khajuria ji, Veteran Journalist and ex-Deputy Director, Doordarshan, Jammu. Thank you so much. Now I request Dr. Ravia Gupta to felicitate Professor Anil Soumitra ji, Chairperson PRSI JNK. Thank you so much. I request all the dignitaries to kindly take their seats. Thank you, sir. बारहा आते रहे हम बारहा जाते रहे, सिलसिला ये आने जाने का रहेगा बरकरार। जिस तरह से आते रहे हैं वहीं जाते रहेंगे बार बार। Yes, thank you is such a beautiful prayer that cannot be seen or touched. As we come to an end of the celebration, I request Professor Anil Soumitra ji, Chairperson PRSI JNK Chapter, to thank all the guests who are present here.
धन्यवाद मिताली जी। सबसे पहले तो एक मैं अपनी तरफ से डिस्क्लेमर है, घोषणा है कि मेरी प्रशंसा या मेरा नाम हुआ है तो इससे ये गलतफहमी मुझे तो नहीं है, आपको भी नहीं होना चाहिए कि मैंने कुछ किया है। सारा जो काम है वो कई लोगों का नाम उल्लेख में नहीं आया किसी कारण से। अब जैसे आदरणीय संजीत खजूरिया जी न होते तो ये आयोजन संभव नहीं था। जैसे ये उपेंद्र शर्मा जी न होते, उनकी मेहनत, उनकी जो जम्मू में उनका जो दायरा है, संपर्क है, रजनीकांत जी नाम से मेरे माध्यम से विकसित हो गए, जुड़ गए। तो इसलिए मेरा नाम आया है। ये मैं ईश्वर की कृपा समझता हूँ कि मेहनत कोई और करता है, पुरुषार्थ कोई और करता है और श्रेय किसी और खाते में जाता है। तो ये श्रेय मेरे खाते में गया है, लेकिन है सब आपका ही। जहाँ तक धन्यवाद की बात है, ये वैसे तो हर आयोजन में, हर कार्यक्रम में एक औपचारिकता होती है, लेकिन ये औपचारिकता नहीं है, क्योंकि PRSI का जो भवितव्य है, आगे का भविष्य है, वो आप सब लोगों के संरक्षण, आशीर्वाद और मार्गदर्शन से ही इसका रास्ता बनता है। तो हम जिस रास्ते जाने वाले हैं वो आसान रास्ता नहीं है, वो चाहे वो कम्युनिकेशन का हो या रिलेशंस का हो। मेरा अपना ये मानना है कि कम्युनिकेशन डिपेंड्स ऑन रिलेशंस। अगर कम्युनिकेशन में रिलेशन नहीं है तो वो कम्युनिकेशन नहीं है। और 3 शब्द हम लोग पढ़ते भी हैं, पढ़ाते भी हैं। एक संचार का भारतीयकरण है, और एक संचार का साधारणीकरण है, और एक संचार का सहृदयकरण है। तो ये जो तीनों भारतीयकरण, साधारणीकरण और सहृदयकरण जब ये होता है तो संचार जनसंपर्क बनता है, पब्लिक रिलेशन बनता है। उसमें पॉजिटिविटी आएगी, उसमें रचनाशीलता आएगी और भारतीयता आएगी। तो वो संचार जनसंपर्क या कुशल संचार, इफेक्टिव संचार, प्रभावी संचार होगा। और ये होने के लिए जरूरी है कि पब्लिक रिलेशन सोसाइटी जैसे संस्थान, संगठन इस देश में, इस समाज में काम करें, संचारकों के बीच में भी और संचार का जो ऑडियंस है, जो टारगेट ऑडियंस है, उसके लिए भी। अगर एक संचारक और ऑडियंस के बीच में अगर रिलेशन नहीं है तो वो कम्युनिकेशन नहीं है, जैसा माननीय मंत्री जी भी बार बार कह रहे थे। हम सब इसी कवायद में हैं, इसी गुना भाग में, इसी जोड़ तोड़ में हैं कि ये संचार हमारा, कम्युनिकेशन कैसे रिलेशंस के साथ हो, तभी वो इफेक्टिव होगा। तो जैसा मैंने पहले नाम लिया उपेंद्र शर्मा जी का, संजीत खजूरिया जी का, वैसे ही संगठनों का भी हमको बहुत मदद और सहयोग मिला है। शायद उनके बिना ये आयोजन न होता, न प्रभाव पाता वो। ऐसी प्रेस क्लब जिसके प्रतिनिधि के तौर पर दिनेश मल्होत्रा जी हैं, JK न्यूज़ टुडे जिसके प्रतिनिधि के तौर पर अर्जुन जोशी जी हैं, विज्ञान भारती का जैसा उल्लेख आया और रजनीकांत जी ने अपना विषय भी रखा है, तो आदरणीय प्रोफेसर रजनीकांत जी। और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जिस संस्थान में आज हम हैं, जहाँ पर ये कार्यक्रम हो रहा है, CSIR, RRL और अब चल के वो IIM, ट्रिपल IM के नाम से ख्यात और प्रसिद्ध है। तो उसके जो यहाँ के प्रतिनिधि हैं डॉक्टर जबीर अहमद साहब, उनका भी सानिध्य, सहयोग हमको मिला है, तब जाके ये सारा आयोजन इस रूप में दिख रहा है। मीडिया के साथ ही जो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण है, और हम उनके अंग हैं, वो हमारे अंग हैं। तो मीडिया के बिना तो आजकल कोई कार्यक्रम सफल ही नहीं होता है। तो सफलता और सार्थकता के लिए मीडिया का होना, उनका सकारात्मक सहयोग होना बहुत आवश्यक है, जरूरी है। और मैं खुद एक संस्थान से जुड़ा हूँ जहाँ पर शिक्षण प्रशिक्षण का काम होता है, भारतीय जनसंचार संस्थान। तो वहाँ के विद्यार्थी, और मुझे खुशी है कि जम्मू केंद्रीय विश्वविद्यालय के शिक्षक, वहाँ के विद्यार्थी भी यहाँ पर उपस्थित हैं। जम्मू विश्वविद्यालय के विद्यार्थी, शिक्षक भी यहाँ पर उपस्थित हैं। तो ऐसे 3-4 जो प्रशिक्षण के काम में लगे हैं, पत्रकारिता के, उसके विद्यार्थी और फैकल्टी, शिक्षक यहाँ पर हैं। कई सारे संगठनों का हमको सानिध्य और सहयोग मिला है, और मैं तो अभिभूत हूँ। ये शुभारंभ में ही इनॉग्रल और इसका लॉन्चिंग ही हो रहा है, और इतने सारे संगठनों का, इतने सारे लोगों का सहयोग मिलना, ये फिर मैं कहूँगा कि वो ईश्वर की कृपा से ही संभव होता है। तो अभी 2 दिन पहले ही बातचीत हुई और GST विभाग से एक ऑफर आया कि हमारा भी IEC से रिलेटेड कोई कार्यक्रम है और अभियान चल रहा है कर्तव्य के नाम से, जैसा संजीत जी ने उल्लेख किया था। तो GST की भूमिका क्या हो सकती है राष्ट्र के विकास, देश के उन्नयन में, उसके इकोनॉमी में, उसको समर्थ बनाने में। और वर्तमान सरकार का बहुत जोर भी है तो हमने कहा कि मैडम है यहाँ पर, उसके आयुक्त मैडम है डॉक्टर रश्मि सिंह जी और डॉक्टर नम्रता डोगरा मैडम है, उनसे बातचीत हुई। तो हमने कहा इस बार चूक गए, पर अगली बार हम इसको फर्दर बड़े प्लान में लेंगे, लेकिन आपका सहयोग और आपका इनिशिएटिव हमारे लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। आगे ऐसे बहुत कई सारे संगठन संस्थाएं आएंगी जो फाउंडेशन स्टोन की तरह हमको आगे बढ़ने में, चलने में, और हम माइलस्टोन तभी खड़े कर सकते हैं जब आप हमारे पास फाउंडेशन स्टोन होगा। तो इस तरीके से बहुत सारे महानुभाव, बहुत सारे संगठन एक फाउंडेशन स्टोन की तरह हैं, और हम आगे चल के भरोसा दिलाते हैं कि आपके सहयोग से, मार्गदर्शन से हम निश्चित ही जम्मू कश्मीर में एक फाउंडेशन माइलस्टोन खड़े करेंगे, चाहे वो कम्युनिकेशन का हो या पब्लिक रिलेशन का या पॉजिटिव कम्युनिकेशन का। सबसे अंत में जो बार बार कहा गया है कि ये मंदिरों का शहर तो है ही, पर ये पूरा क्षेत्र वीरता का भी है, पराक्रम का भी है और ज्ञान का भी क्षेत्र है। और इसी क्षेत्र से हमारे बहुत ही हम सबके लोकप्रिय, बहुत ही स्नेही, जो भारत की संसद में यहाँ का प्रतिनिधित्व करते हैं, डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी, तो वहाँ यहाँ पर उपस्थित हैं। तो अपने सारे वीरता, पराक्रम, ज्ञान, बुद्धि, सामर्थ्य, कौशल और सबसे ज़्यादा हम सब लोगों के लिए उनका स्नेह बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। उस स्नेह के कारण बहुत उनके साथ जैसा बताया कि बहुत सारे महत्वपूर्ण विभाग है, और एक दो नहीं 6-7 विभाग हैं उनके पास, और प्रधानमंत्री कार्यालय से सीधे जुड़े हुए हैं। तो वैसी व्यस्तता के बावजूद भी अब भारत का संसद भी अभी चलायमान है, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण वहाँ डिस्कशन हो रहा है। ऐसे समय में हमको आपने अपना महत्वपूर्ण समय दिया, और इस आश्वस्ति के साथ कि आपका संरक्षण, आपका आशीर्वाद PRSI को पल्लवित, पुष्पित करने में बहुत मददगार होगा और मिलता रहेगा। इस अपेक्षा के साथ, इस आशा के साथ मैं आप सब लोगों के प्रति बार बार अनुग्रह, धन्यवाद और आभार का भाव व्यक्त करता हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request everyone to rise for national anthem. आप सबसे अनुरोध है कि राष्ट्रगान के लिए खड़े हो जाएं।
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा। जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Now I request all of you to please proceed for lunch. आप सबसे गुजारिश है कि आप लोग सब हमारे साथ खाना खाकर जाइएगा. Please proceed for lunch after the program. Thank you so much.